Jake Morrison walked through the long halls of the Galactic Council station and felt the weight of 12 different alien stares following his every step. His black suit was simple and made on Earth, nothing like the glowing crystals and metal parts that covered the other beings around him. Behind him, Lisa Hayes kept pace in her military uniform, her hand never far from the small device on her belt. The council chamber was huge, with seats arranged in a circle around the center where Jake would have to stand and speak. Each seat held a different kind of alien life form. Some looked like giant insects, others were made of pure light trapped in glass shells, and a few had scales that changed color when they moved. Jake had been Earth's ambassador to the Galactic Council for 3 years now. In that time, he had watched his people be treated like children who were allowed to sit at the adult table, only because the adults found them amusing. Every request for better trade deals was laughed at. Every suggestion for new technology sharing was dismissed. Every time humans asked for equal representation, the aliens would pat them on the head and tell them to wait a few more centuries. The Vextai representative was the first to speak. Her snake-like body coiled around her seat as her yellow eyes focused on Jake. Her voice came out in hissing sounds that the universal translator turned into words. "Human Morrison, you have requested this emergency session. We hope you have something more important to say than your usual complaints about fairness." Jake walked to the center of the chamber and placed his hands behind his back. He had practiced this moment for months, knowing it would either change everything or end humanity's membership in the Council forever. "I am here to inform you of new terms for humanity's continued participation in this council." The chamber filled with sounds that could only be described as alien laughter. The Kethran delegate, looking like a massive praying mantis made of black metal, clicked his sharp mouthparts together. "Terms, little human, you do not set terms here. You follow the terms we give you." The Zephyrian Prime Minister pulsed with bright colors inside his energy shell. Through the translator, his words came out smooth and cold. "Your species has been members of this council for 50 Earth years. In that time, you have contributed little of value. Your technology is primitive. Your military is weak. Your single world produces nothing we cannot get better and cheaper elsewhere." Jake nodded slowly as if agreeing with everything they said. "You're right about many things. We do have older technology. We do come from just one world. We are much smaller than your great civilizations." He paused and looked around the chamber. "But you are wrong about one very important thing." The Altarian delegate leaned forward in her crystal chair. Her entire body was made of living gems that reflected light in rainbow patterns. "And what would that be, human? You think we have nothing to offer. You think we are weak. You think we need you more than you need us." Jake's voice stayed calm and quiet, but somehow it carried to every corner of the huge chamber. "You are about to learn how wrong you are." Lisa stepped forward and placed a small data pad on the central table. The device looked ancient compared to the floating holograms and quantum computers the aliens used. 3 days, she said in her military voice. "You have 3 days to reconsider humanity's position in this council." The Thexian representative, a creature that looked like a walking tree made of silver metal, made a sound like wind through leaves. "Or what, mammals? You will leave? Go back to your tiny corner of space and hide?" Jake smiled for the first time since entering the chamber. It was not a happy smile. "No. If you refuse to treat us as equals, you will discover what happens when humanity stops pretending to be your friends." The chamber erupted in more alien laughter. The Nexarian delegate, whose body was covered in fur that shifted between blue and purple, showed his sharp teeth. "Empty threats from an empty species. What could you possibly do to any of us?" "Admiral Brooks will be joining us tomorrow to explain exactly what we can do," Jake replied. "But I will give you one small hint." He reached into his jacket and pulled out his personal communicator, the same kind every human carried. It looked like a child's toy next to the advanced alien technology around him. "This device," Jake said, holding it up, "has been in contact with humans all across the galaxy for the past 50 years. Humans who work on your stations. Humans who fix your machines. Humans who cook your food and clean your ships and sell you art and music." He paused to let that sink in. "Humans who you have ignored because you thought we were harmless." The Vextai representative's scales turned a darker shade of green. "You speak of spies? I speak of people who have been watching and learning and preparing for this day." Jake put his communicator away. "People who you trained yourselves by letting them work so closely with your technology and your systems. The Galactic Council had made a mistake that many powerful groups had made throughout history. They had confused weakness with stupidity. They had assumed that because humans seemed primitive, they were also helpless. They had welcomed human workers into their most important facilities, because humans were so obviously inferior that they could never pose a threat. For 50 years, humans had been the galaxy's janitors and cooks and entertainers. They fixed broken equipment and maintained life support systems and kept the great alien civilizations running smoothly. And all that time, they had been learning everything there was to know about how those civilizations worked. The Kethrin delegate's compound eyes focused on Jake with new attention. "You are saying you have sabotaged our equipment?" "I am saying that humans are very good at understanding how things work," Jake answered. "And when you understand how something works, you also understand how to make it stop working." Lisa checked her watch and nodded to Jake. Somewhere out in the galaxy, she knew that Dr. Nathan Cross was making final preparations for Project Pandora. Human operatives on dozens of alien worlds were receiving their coded messages. Everything that humanity had worked toward for 5 decades was about to begin. 3 days, Jake repeated as he turned to leave the chamber. "After that, you will understand exactly what leverage looks like when it comes from a species that has nothing left to lose." The aliens watched the 2 humans walk out of the chamber, and for the first time in the Council's long history, they felt something they had never experienced when dealing with humanity. They felt uncertainty, and deep down, buried beneath their arrogance and dismissive attitudes, they felt the first small stirring of something that might have been fear. The countdown to humanity's demonstration of power had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Nathan Cross floated in the zero-gravity laboratory aboard the UES Discovery, watching numbers scroll across his computer screen. The ship was hidden deep in the asteroid belt beyond Mars, where no alien sensors could detect it. For 5 years, Nathan had worked on something the Galactic Council would never expect from primitive humans. His beard was getting gray from the stress, but his eyes still burned with the excitement of discovery. The laboratory looked simple compared to alien technology. No floating crystals or energy fields, just metal walls and basic computer screens. But what Nathan had created here would change everything. He called it Project Pandora, and it was humanity's greatest secret. Amy Rodriguez pushed off from the laboratory door and floated over to Nathan's workstation. Her short black hair was pulled back in the practical style all deep space humans had adopted. As captain of the Discovery, she had been hiding the ship in this asteroid field for months, waiting for this moment. "How are we looking, Nathan?" Amy asked as she grabbed onto a handheld to stop herself from floating past his station. "The quantum field generators are running perfectly," Nathan replied, not looking away from his screens. "All the calculations check out. When we activate this thing, it will work exactly as planned." Amy studied the readings she could understand. The rest was too advanced for anyone except Nathan and his small team of scientists. "And you are absolutely sure it will not hurt anyone? It will not cause any physical damage," Nathan said, "but it will definitely get their attention." Meanwhile, on Earth, General Paul Thompson walked through the underground command center that had been built secretly beneath the Pentagon. The room was filled with screens showing the location of every human ship, colony, and outpost in the solar system. But more importantly, it showed something the aliens had no idea about. For 50 years, humans had been spreading across the galaxy, not as conquerors or colonists, but as workers. They took jobs that aliens did not want. They fixed machines that broke down. They cooked food and cleaned stations and painted murals that alien species enjoyed. Everyone thought humans were harmless, so they let them go everywhere. "Sir, we are receiving reports from all sectors," said Katie Manning, the communications officer. She was young but had trained for this moment her entire career. "All our people are in position and ready." Paul nodded as he looked at a map of the galaxy. Each red dot represented a human who was working somewhere in alien space. There were thousands of them: mechanics on mining stations, cooks on luxury passenger ships, artists in alien museums, technicians maintaining power plants. The Galactic Council had welcomed human workers because they were cheap, reliable, and seemed too primitive to be dangerous. They had no idea that every single human worker was also a trained operative. On the trading station called Nexus Prime, Bill Harper was doing his usual maintenance work in the lower levels where the power systems were located. The aliens who owned the station barely noticed him anymore. He had been working there for 3 years, and they thought of him as just another piece of equipment. Bill opened an access panel and began installing what looked like standard repair nanobots into the station's main power grid. The tiny machines were actually much more than they appeared. Each one contained quantum-paired processors that could communicate instantly with Earth across any distance. More importantly, they could shut down any system they were connected to with a simple signal. Just routine maintenance, Bill said to himself as he sealed the panel. The alien supervisors did not bother to check his work anymore. Humans were too simple to cause any real problems. Across the galaxy on dozens of alien worlds, similar scenes were playing out. Helen Foster ran a small shop on the cultural district of New Altair, selling human art and music to alien customers who enjoyed the primitive creativity of her species. What they did not know was that every piece of art contained sophisticated scanning equipment that had been mapping their cities and recording their communications for years. The Altarian customers who bought her paintings never suspected that the beautiful landscapes contained quantum sensors. The music boxes that played human melodies also transmitted data back to Earth about everything they heard. The simple wooden sculptures were actually advanced communication devices disguised as folk art. Such charming, primitive work, the Altarian buyers would say as they purchased items that were secretly more advanced than their own technology. On Research Station Omega-7, human technician Carl Mitchell worked alongside alien scientists who were studying new forms of faster-than-light travel. The aliens enjoyed having a human around because Carl asked such innocent questions about how their technology worked. They loved explaining things to someone who seemed so amazed by their advanced science. Carl had learned more about alien technology in 2 years than most aliens learned in decades. He understood their power systems, their computer networks, their communication arrays, and their security protocols. And most importantly, he knew exactly how to make all of it stop working. The aliens thought they were educating a primitive human. Actually, Carl had 3 advanced degrees in physics and engineering from universities the aliens had never heard of. He asked simple questions because the answers told him everything he needed to know about alien weaknesses. Back on Earth, General Thompson received reports from human operatives across the galaxy. Every major alien facility had humans working inside it. Every important trade route had human ships traveling along it. Every alien government building had human maintenance staff keeping it running. Phase 1 is complete, Thompson announced to his staff. All operatives are in position. All equipment is installed and ready. We are waiting for the signal from Ambassador Morrison. The genius of humanity's plan was its simplicity. For 50 years they had done exactly what the aliens expected them to do. They had been helpful, harmless workers who kept alien society running smoothly. They had smiled and been grateful for the jobs nobody else wanted. They had acted like the primitive species everyone believed they were. But all that time, they had been preparing for the day when the Galactic Council would push them too far. Dr. Nathan Cross made final adjustments to Project Pandora, while Admiral Kevin Brooks prepared to join Ambassador Morrison at the Council Station. Everything humanity had worked toward for 5 decades was about to begin. The aliens thought they were dealing with a weak species making empty threats. They were about to discover that the most dangerous enemy is the one you have invited into your home and then forgotten to watch. The second day arrived and the Galactic Council members gathered in their chamber with the relaxed attitude of adults dealing with a child having a tantrum. They had spent the night consulting their military advisors, trade experts, and scientists. Every single one had told them the same thing. Humans were bluffing because they had nothing to back up their threats. The Vextai representative coiled comfortably in her seat, her scales showing the green color that meant amusement in her species. I spoke with our defense minister last night, she announced to the other council members. He laughed so hard at the human threat that he nearly choked on his dinner. The other aliens made their various sounds of agreement. The Kethran delegate clicked his mandibles in what passed for laughter among his people. Our military experts have reviewed human capabilities. They have perhaps 200 ships total, most of them barely capable of leaving their own solar system. We could destroy their entire fleet with a single battle group. Jake Morrison entered the chamber exactly on time. But this time he was not alone. Behind him walked Admiral Kevin Brooks, wearing the dark blue uniform of the human space forces. The Admiral's chest was covered with ribbons and medals that meant nothing to the aliens, but his bearing made it clear he was a military leader. The aliens noted the Admiral's presence but were not concerned. What could one human military officer do against 12 interstellar civilizations that had been conquering space while humans were still learning to make fire? "We trust you have had time to reconsider your position," Jake said as he took his place at the center of the chamber. The Altarian delegate's crystal body flashed with colors that indicated dismissive contempt. "We have indeed considered your ultimatum, human Morrison. We have decided to reduce your species to observer status only. You may watch our proceedings, but you will no longer have any voting rights or trade privileges." Jake looked at Admiral Brooks, who checked his watch and gave a small nod. "I see. Well, we did warn you this would happen if you refused to negotiate reasonably." The Zephyrian Prime Minister's energy field pulsed with what humans had learned to recognize as alien laughter. "And what exactly is going to happen, little mammals? Are you going to stamp your feet and hold your breath until we change our minds?" At that exact moment, Bill Harper was working in the maintenance tunnels beneath Nexus Prime, when his communication device buzzed with a simple message: "Showtime." He pressed a single button on the device, sending a quantum signal to the nanobots he had installed in the station's power systems over the past 3 years. The effect was immediate. Every light on Nexus Prime went out at once. Emergency power kicked in a few seconds later, bathing the massive trading station in red emergency, lighting as alien technicians scrambled to understand what had gone wrong. Similar scenes began playing out across dozens of council facilities throughout the galaxy. Mining stations lost power to their extraction equipment. Research outposts found their laboratory systems shutting down. Luxury passenger ships drifted in space as their engines stopped working for no reason their engineers could explain. "Interesting timing for so many technical problems," Jake observed mildly as reports began flooding into the council chamber. Through the aliens' communication networks, the Thexian representative's metallic leaves rustled with agitation as he received updates from his homeworld. 17 of our facilities have experienced simultaneous power failures. This cannot be coincidence. Coincidence or not, our technicians will have everything repaired within hours, the Zephyrian Prime Minister said. Though his energy field was flickering with what might have been uncertainty, Jake smiled that same cold smile from the day before. "Perhaps, but that was just to get your attention. Dr. Cross, please proceed with the main demonstration." Hidden in the asteroid belt, Dr. Nathan Cross received Jake's signal and activated Project Pandora. The quantum field generators that had been built into the hull of the Discovery began creating something that had never existed before in the galaxy, a zone where faster-than-light travel simply did not work. The effect spread outward from Earth like an invisible bubble, expanding at the speed of light itself. As it reached each council ship in human space, their FTL drives simply stopped responding. Not broken, not damaged, just completely non-responsive. As if the laws of physics that allowed faster-than-light travel had been temporarily suspended, the council chamber fell, silent as their military advisors began reporting impossible readings. Ships that should have been able to travel between stars in hours found themselves trapped at slower-than-light speeds. Entire fleets discovered they could no longer escape human space. The Kethran delegates' compound eyes focused on Admiral Brooks with new intensity. "What have you done to our ships?" "We have demonstrated that human technology is not as primitive as you assumed," the Admiral replied. "For the past 50 years, your species have been so busy looking down on us that you never bothered to ask what we were actually capable of." Dr. Rachel Stone entered the chamber at that moment, her simple human clothing making her stand out among the elaborate alien forms. She was carrying a device that looked like nothing more than a basic tablet computer, but the readings it displayed made even the most advanced alien scientists lean forward with interest. "The quantum resonance field is quite stable," Dr. Stone announced, her voice calm and professional. "We can maintain it indefinitely if necessary." The Nexarian delegate's fur shifted from blue to a pale white color that indicated fear among his people. "You are holding our ships prisoner." "Not prisoner," Jake corrected. "Inconvenienced. Just as you have inconvenienced us with your refusal to treat us as equals." Admiral Brooks activated a holographic projector, something the aliens had assumed was beyond human technology. The projection showed the galaxy from a human perspective, with thousands of red dots scattered across alien worlds. Every red dot represents a human operative working in your space, the Admiral explained. Maintenance workers, cooks, artists, technicians, researchers. For 50 years, you have welcomed us into your most secure facilities because you thought we were too primitive to pose any threat. The scope of human infiltration became clear as the hologram zoomed in on individual star systems. On some worlds, there were hundreds of human workers in critical positions. They maintained power plants, repaired communication arrays, and serviced the computer networks that kept alien civilizations running. "This is impossible," the Altarian delegate whispered, her crystal form dimming with shock. "Our security systems would have detected any sabotage attempts." "They did detect sabotage attempts from species you considered dangerous," Dr. Stone said gently. "They never thought to scan for quantum-paired carbon molecules in human art, or nanotransmitters disguised as normal wear patterns in our tools and clothing." The Vextai representative's scales had turned completely black, a sign of extreme distress in her species. "How long have you been planning this?" "Since the day we joined the Council," Jake answered honestly. "We hoped we would never need to use these capabilities. We wanted to be your partners, not your enemies. But you forced our hand by refusing to show us basic respect." General Thompson's voice came through the chamber's communication system from his command center on Earth. "The field will remain active until we reach a new understanding. Your ships are safe, but they cannot leave human space until we have resolved this situation." The aliens looked around the chamber at each other, seeing their own fear reflected in a dozen different alien faces. For the first time in galactic history, they were the ones who felt helpless and small. "What do you want from us?" the Zephyrian Prime Minister asked quietly. Jake's expression softened slightly. "The same thing we have always wanted. Respect, equality, and fair treatment. Nothing more, but absolutely nothing less." The emergency session of the Galactic Council began just 6 hours after the quantum field had trapped half their fleets outside human space. The chamber felt different now, charged with tension and fear that had never existed before in the long history of alien cooperation. Representatives who had once lounged casually in their seats now sat rigid with attention. General Thexvar of the Kethron Defense Force appeared as a hologram in the center of the chamber, his compound eyes darting nervously as he delivered his report. "The field extends exactly 50 light-years from the human home system in a perfect sphere. Our fastest battle cruisers are trapped on the outside, unable to enter. The ships caught inside when the field activated are completely stranded." Jake Morrison sat at the human table with Admiral Brooks and Dr. Stone, but their positions had changed overnight. The alien custodial staff had quietly moved the human table from its previous location at the edge of the chamber to a position of equality with the other council members. No one had ordered this change, but everyone understood what it meant. The Vextai representative's scales were still the black color of fear, and her voice came out in sharp hisses that the translator struggled to convert into words. "How many of our people are trapped in your space?" Admiral Brooks consulted his tablet before answering. "Approximately 40,000 alien personnel aboard 317 vessels of various sizes. They are all safe and unharmed, but they cannot leave until we reach an agreement." The Altarian delegate's crystal body was flickering between different colors as she processed reports from her military command. "Our scientists cannot understand how this field works. It appears to selectively disable exotic matter interactions while leaving normal space-time completely unaffected." Dr. Stone leaned forward, with the enthusiasm of a teacher explaining a fascinating concept to interested students. "The principle is actually quite elegant once you understand quantum mechanics at the subatomic level. We discovered it by accident during our early experiments with faster-than-light travel. Space-time itself can be convinced to reject certain types of particle interactions." The Nexarian delegate's fur had turned completely white, indicating maximum fear response in his species. "This technology should be impossible. Our most advanced physicists have been studying quantum fields for thousands of years without discovering anything like this." "That is because you were looking for ways to make faster-than-light travel work better," Dr. Stone explained patiently. "We were looking for ways to make it stop working entirely. Sometimes the best defense is not a stronger shield, but a way to make enemy weapons useless." Admiral Brooks activated his holographic display again, But this time, the projection showed something even more disturbing to the alien representatives. The galaxy appeared covered with interconnected lines of light, showing communication networks, trade routes, and strategic positions. While you were dismissing us as primitive, we were studying everything about how your civilizations function, the Admiral began. Every human worker you hired became a source of intelligence. Every piece of human art you purchased contained monitoring equipment. Every trade agreement included hidden data collection protocols. The hologram zoomed in on the Zephyrian home system, showing detailed maps of their cities, military bases, and industrial centers. We know the location of every important facility in your territory. We understand your communication codes. We have detailed information about your military capabilities and weaknesses. The Zephyrian Prime Minister's energy field was pulsing rapidly with what humans had learned to recognize as panic. This is a violation of every treaty governing interstellar relations. You have been spying on sovereign worlds. We have been protecting ourselves, Jake replied firmly. When you refuse to treat someone as an equal, they have to find other ways to ensure their survival. The display shifted to show the Kethran industrial worlds, with red markers indicating the locations of critical infrastructure. Your mining operations on 7 worlds depend entirely on human technicians to maintain the equipment. Your primary computer networks are serviced by human programmers who designed most of the security protocols. Your space traffic control systems are managed by humans who could shut down all orbital commerce with a few keystrokes. General Thexvar's hologram flickered as he processed this information. You are saying you could cripple our entire civilization? We are saying we have the capability to defend ourselves if you force us to, Admiral Brooks corrected. But we would prefer not to use it. Captain Amy Rodriguez entered the chamber at that moment, her simple human uniform drawing attention from beings who had never seen her before. Behind her walked 3 more humans in similar clothing, each carrying equipment that looked primitive but somehow projected an aura of hidden capability. Captain Rodriguez commands our deep space reconnaissance fleet, Admiral Brooks announced. Her ships have been mapping every star system in Council space for the past 20 years. We know the location of every asteroid belt, every gas giant, every place where a fleet might try to hide. Amy activated her own display device, showing real-time positions of alien military vessels throughout the galaxy. We have been tracking your ship movements since before you knew we existed. Every patrol route, every supply convoy, every secret military exercise has been monitored and recorded. The Thexian representative's metallic leaves rustled with agitation as the full scope of human surveillance became clear. How is this possible? Our sensor networks should have detected any spy ships in our territory. They detected the ships they expected to see, Amy replied. Military vessels with weapons and armor and energy signatures that matched known threat profiles. They never looked for small civilian craft powered by simple fusion engines and equipped with passive sensors only. Dr. Stone stood and walked to the center of the chamber, her simple tablet computer suddenly seeming much more threatening than any alien weapon. The quantum resonance effect that is currently disabling your FTL drives can also be used in other ways. We can create selective fields that disable specific types of technology, while leaving others untouched. The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. The humans were not just holding alien fleets hostage with their mysterious field. They had the ability to selectively shut down any technology they chose, anywhere in the galaxy where human operatives had installed their quantum-paired devices. The Kethran delegate's mandibles clicked nervously as he asked the question everyone was thinking. What guarantee do we have that you will not use these capabilities to conquer us? General Thompson's image appeared via quantum communication link, his weathered face serious but not hostile. The same guarantee you have given us for 50 years. Mutual benefit and shared prosperity. The difference is that now we have the power to enforce fair treatment, instead of simply hoping for it. Jake stood and addressed the chamber with quiet authority. We do not want to rule the galaxy. We do not want to destroy your civilizations. We simply want what we have always wanted, to be treated as equals, to have our voices heard, and to share in the benefits of galactic civilization. Admiral Brooks placed a data tablet on the central table, its simple design contrasting sharply with the advanced alien technology surrounding it. These are our terms for ending the current situation. Equal representation in all council decisions, fair distribution of trade rights and resource allocations, collaborative research partnerships, and most importantly, mutual respect between all member species. The Altarian delegate studied the terms displayed on her crystalline interface, her body shifting through colors that indicated deep thought. And if we agree to these conditions, you will deactivate your field and release our ships? Gradually, as trust is built on both sides, Jake confirmed. Full normalization will take time, but yes, we want to return to peaceful cooperation as soon as possible. The chamber was quiet except for the various sounds of alien breathing and communication. For the first time in galactic history, the other species were considering humans not as amusing pets or useful servants, but as equals who demanded respect. The vote would come soon, and everyone in the chamber knew that the galaxy would never be the same, regardless of the outcome. The third day arrived with a tension that filled every corner of the Galactic Council Station. The chamber had been completely reconfigured overnight by maintenance staff who worked in nervous silence. The human delegation table now sat in the center of the circle, level with all the other representative seats. No one had ordered this change, but everyone understood its significance. Jake Morrison entered the chamber with the confident stride of someone who no longer needed to prove anything. Behind him walked Admiral Brooks, Dr. Stone, and Captain Rodriguez, their simple human uniforms standing out among the elaborate alien forms like solid rocks in a stream of flowing water. The alien representatives were already in their seats, but the casual arrogance of previous days had been replaced by wary attention. Even their body language had changed. Where once they had lounged dismissively, now they sat upright and alert. The Vextai representative spoke first, her scales showing the muted green color that indicated careful respect in her species. Human Morrison, we have spent the night consulting with our governments. We wish to hear your complete proposal before we make any decisions. Jake nodded as he took his position at the center of the chamber, but this time he was not standing alone like a defendant before judges. He was standing as an equal among equals. The terms are simple because the principle is simple. We want exactly what you have always had: the right to be heard, the power to protect our interests, and the respect that comes from being treated as partners rather than pets. Dr. Stone activated her tablet, projecting a holographic display that showed technological blueprints more advanced than anything the aliens had seen before. The quantum resonance field that is currently affecting your ships can be used for much more than disruption. We can create stable wormhole networks that would reduce travel time between distant systems by 90%. The alien representatives leaned forward despite themselves, their scientific curiosity overcoming their political caution. The Altarian delegate's crystal body brightened as she studied the technical specifications. These calculations suggest travel speeds that would revolutionize galactic commerce. We can also enhance your existing technologies in ways you have never considered, Captain Rodriguez added, activating her own display. Our manufacturing techniques focus on adaptability rather than pure efficiency. We can show you how to build ships that repair themselves, stations that grow to accommodate changing needs, and computer systems that evolve to meet new challenges. Admiral Brooks stepped forward with another tablet containing military specifications that made even the Catherine defense experts take notice. Our approach to warfare emphasizes preparation and intelligence over raw firepower. We can teach you defensive strategies that make invasion nearly impossible and early warning systems that detect threats years before they arrive. The Nexarian delegate's fur shifted from white to a cautious blue as he processed the implications. You are offering to share all of this technology freely, in exchange for equal treatment, Jake confirmed. We do not want to hoard our discoveries any more than we want to be excluded from yours. The galaxy is vast enough for all of us to benefit from shared knowledge. General Thompson's image appeared via quantum link, his expression serious but hopeful. We have prepared detailed cooperation agreements covering technology sharing, trade partnerships, and mutual defense. But all of it depends on one fundamental change in how our species are treated. The Zephyrian Prime Minister's energy field pulsed with colors that indicated deep thought. And what assurances do we have that you will not use your new position to seek revenge for past treatment? Jake's expression softened for the first time in 3 days. The same assurance you would want if our positions were reversed. We gain nothing from destroying the very civilization we want to join as equals. Our goal has always been partnership, not domination. Dr. Stone began the gradual process of reducing the quantum field, allowing the first few alien ships to regain their FTL capability. We will release your vessels in stages as agreements are signed and implemented. Trust must be built slowly on both sides. The first council ships to regain faster-than-light travel were met not with hostility, but with human escort vessels offering navigation assistance and technical support. The message was clear. Humanity wanted to help, not harm. Bill Harper emerged from the maintenance tunnels of Nexus Prime and began the process of returning the station's systems to full power. Around the galaxy, thousands of other human operatives received similar orders. The demonstration was over, but the hidden infrastructure they had built over 50 years would remain as a reminder of human capabilities. Helen Foster reopened her art shop on New Altair, greeting her alien customers with the same friendly smile she had always shown. But now those customers looked at her simple human crafts with new understanding. The primitive wooden sculptures and basic music boxes suddenly seemed less primitive and more mysterious. The Thexian representative rustled his metallic leaves in the gesture his species used to indicate grudging respect. Your people have proven to be far more capable than any of us suspected. We acknowledge that we may have misjudged human potential. The Catherine delegate clicked his mandibles in what might have been approval. Your strategic thinking is impressive. To plan for 50 years while appearing completely harmless requires discipline that few species possess. Jake walked around the chamber, addressing each representative directly for the first time since his species had joined the council. We learned patience from you. We learned technology from you. We learned politics from you. Everything we used in this demonstration came from watching and learning from the species who treated us as junior partners. The voting process began with a formality that had never existed before. For the first time in galactic history, each species cast their vote as equals with no senior members or junior observers. The humans waited quietly as each alien representative announced their decision. The Altarian delegate spoke first, her crystal form glowing with decision. The Altarian Republic votes to accept the new partnership terms. One by one, the other species followed. Some voted with enthusiasm, others with reluctant recognition of the new reality. But in the end, the decision was unanimous. The new Galactic Council would be a true partnership of equals, built on mutual respect rather than assumed hierarchy. No species would be dismissed as primitive or treated as subordinate. All members would have equal voices in shaping the future of interstellar civilization. As the formal ceremonies concluded and representatives began preparing for the complex process of implementing the new agreements, Jake Morrison stood quietly in the observation deck of the council station. Through the transparent walls, he could see human and alien ships working together to restore normal traffic patterns. Admiral Brooks joined him at the viewing window, watching as the first mixed species crews began collaborating on joint projects. "Do you think this will really work long-term?" Jake smiled as he watched a human technician explaining something to an alien engineer. Both of them focused on solving a problem together, rather than competing for dominance. "It will work because it has to work. The galaxy is too big and too dangerous for any of us to survive alone. We just had to convince everyone else of that truth." The age of human equality in the galaxy had officially begun, achieved not through conquest or destruction, but through the simple act of refusing to accept anything less than the respect they deserved. The other species had learned that the most dangerous opponent is not the one who threatens you, but the one you underestimate. And humanity had learned that sometimes the greatest victory comes not from proving you can destroy your enemies, but from proving you would rather have them as friends.